In all my years of following geopolitics, there's a reality on the ground and there's political reality, a political fantasy. So during the Iraq War, I knew there weren't any weapons of mass destruction. And I knew that because if there were, they would have been used in the previous Iraq or Kuwaiti War, whatever. So when Colin Powell spoke to the UN, he was talking about a political fantasy. But okay, I think I and others, we knew the reality and we knew this political fantasy. And we sort of understood, that there were reasons for what was going on behind the scenes. You can understand if you follow things, the reality and the political fantasy. The difference today, and this is a first in my life that I'm witnessing this, is Pete Hegseth and Trump and all these people that are associated with him, they're not constructing a political reality or fantasy. They're actually talking about what they see truthfully on the ground. And that's why they get elected, because that it is true. They are honest about what they're seeing and what they believe the solutions are. The problem is is that the truth on the ground, you cannot say what you really want to do. And the reason you can't say what you really want to do is because if you really did do what you wanted to do, you would make a lot of enemies, or you would basically create conflicts elsewhere, and it would just all spiral out of control. Everybody wants something. Everybody has an agenda, and each person wants to further their goals a little bit without upsetting everybody else's. When you upset everybody else's, everybody starts fighting, and then there's no way out of it. It takes a long time. And that's why I always say we're in World War III right now. We've been in there for a few years. And this is just, I don't think the proof could be more obvious. So when Pete Hegseth is talking about Ukraine, he's speaking truthfully about what he believes and what he sees, but he's not speaking truthfully about, okay, even if we accept that Ukraine is what he's talking about, his solutions are childish. They're not going to work. They can't work because he's not being truthful about himself.
Well, good afternoon, friends. Thank you, Secretary Healy, for your leadership, both in hosting and now leading the UDCG. This is my first Ukraine Defense Contact Group, and I'm honored to join all of you today. And I appreciate the opportunity to share President Trump's approach to the war in Ukraine. We are at, as you said, Mr. Secretary, a critical moment.
Let me point out here, it's called the Ukraine Defense Contact Group. Okay? I really want you to keep that in mind. The whole mission, the whole purpose of this group is to defend Ukraine from Russia's invasion and an attempt to take over the country. Okay? Remember, everybody in that room is on Ukraine's side and wants Russia out of Ukraine.
War approaches its third anniversary. Our message is clear. The bloodshed must stop, and this war must end. President Trump has been clear with the American people and with many of your leaders that stopping the fighting and reaching an enduring peace is a top priority. He intends to end this war by diplomacy and bringing both Russia and Ukraine to the table.
I just don't know where to begin. It's like he hasn't followed it whatsoever. It's like there was Russia invaded Ukraine 3 years ago, and he's been doing other things. I don't know, playing basketball or football or whatever, living under a rock. I don't know, whatever. he immediately given, hey, listen, we're making you Secretary of Defense. You got to get on this plane and go into this, this Ukraine Defense Group, right? And Trump calls and says, hey, listen, we got to bring them both to the table. And he's like, hey, yeah, we're going to need to bring them both to the table and find a resolution to this. It's a Ukraine Defense Contact Group. There's no table, okay? Russia has to leave Ukraine, right? I mean, if everybody at that, this has been done for a long time, right? Or it could have been done for a long time, right? As soon as Russia invaded Ukraine, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to say, yeah, you should get to the table. And people did. Again, it's like he hasn't paid attention at all. Bennett from Israel went, Macron, all these guys went to Russia to talk to Putin, to try and get them to agree to talk about it. They even had talks about trying to end the war. So, talks did happen in the beginning. There was a table. But what happened? Well, they couldn't come to an agreement. Why couldn't they come to agreement? Because Ukraine is just simply not going to stop until Russia leaves or Russia wins. Either Russia takes all Ukraine or Russia leaves. That's why we're at the 3-year mark. And just to come in and say, oh, we got to bring everybody to the table, Ukraine is not exhausted and Russia doesn't feel like quitting. So it's, okay, Max, do not go into this again. Just not be surprised over and over and over again, okay? Because it's take up too much time. All right.
And the U.S. Department of Defense will help achieve this goal. We will only end this devastating war and establish a durable peace by coupling allied strength with a realistic assessment of the battlefield.
He doesn't even, again, there's a Budapest memorandum, which everybody in that room understands. And in that, the United States essentially promised Ukraine that if you get rid of your nuclear weapons, we will protect your sovereignty. And the U.S. did not. Everybody knows this. So for him to say, oh, well, now we'll give you a security guarantee and we'll protect you. Why? Why would Ukraine believe them? Why would anybody believe the United States? To say that's laughable, I was sort of upset. Like, why aren't you showing the camera around the room? Because, people are going to be rolling their eyes. It's just, he says, oh, battlefield assessment. No, it's not. The assessment is not about the battlefield. The assessment is about whether the United States, just how far back is it not going to honor its commitments? We already know it didn't honor its commitment about the Budapest Memorandum, about keeping Russia contained. That's why NATO's there, okay? That's the other thing that's just mind-blowing about this. So we already know that the United States, everybody knows that the United States will not commit troops to the ground. I'm going to put it without any varnish, that the United States are cowards. Everybody knows that the United States are the biggest bunch of cowards on earth, especially this guy. So yeah, he served in Iraq and Afghanistan with his gunships and tons of protection. That's not against a peer adversary. You're in Afghanistan or Iraq, you're not fighting against people with the same level of weapons that you have. Ukraine is fighting Russia, okay? They're winning against Russia. He hasn't won against anybody. He's won against a bunch of guys driving around in used Toyotas with, with machine guns and RPGs. What is he talking about? He talks in this whole thing as if he represents the United States, this really tough, army and military that can have its way with anyone. It's just ridiculous. I'm forgetting what he said. So, boy, this video is going to be horrible. Where am I? Okay.
We want, like you, a sovereign and prosperous Ukraine. But we must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective.
Says who? Says you? The chicken shit United States? Who can't even hold on to Afghanistan? Right? You couldn't even build a ring road in Afghanistan, right? You left Afghanistan, you went to Kabul, and the Taliban came right into the Kabul. That's how afraid they are of the United States. That's the United States has this fear that knows what can be done and what can't be done. The only thing the United States knows how to do is basically give up, quit. I mean, seriously. I mean, I'm an American. I love being an American, but that's just the fact of my lifetime. You know, what did we ever really accomplish? And so for him, so Russia enters Ukraine, and Ukrainians are now fighting and dying by the hundreds of thousands. And they're keeping Russia out. They're doing it. And he's coming in and saying, oh, well, you're not really succeeding. They are succeeding. I mean, you left Iraq. Who are you to say, what they can do and what they cannot do? It's so offensive. That Ukrainian guy, all Ukrainians who are watching this are thinking the same thing. They're thinking what I'm thinking too. Go F yourself, Pete. You think okay, fine. We'll see if somebody invades your border, what you will do. Okay, that's the problem with America. It's a problem with people like him. We're surrounded by Canada and Mexico and two oceans. So we just have this idea we're tough because, well, nobody's coming our borders. Worse, even Trump is threatening Mexico, and Trump saying, I'm going to take you guys over. The United States is in for the comeuppance, of just, I mean, it's just amazing what this guy is saying. You haven't done anything, not a thing. Yes, you've given weapons. Ukraine is thankful. Thank you for all the weapons. But you're talking here now about the hard facts of who defines a border. And as George Friedman said, a border is defined by who will die to defend it or create it, let's just say. And Russia and Ukraine are dying to define that border. The United States is not dying. The people dying will define the border, not the people talking up on the dais saying, we need to bring you to the table. We need to have a proper battlefield assessment. Words, words, words. Words have nothing to do with what's going on here. What's going on here is that Ukrainian men and women are dying to defend their border, and they want their existing border back. They want Russia out, and they will keep dying until that happens or Russia takes over. And for the United States to say, hey, get realistic. Realistic about what? That is the facts. People are dying over a border. Where are you coming from?
Chasing this illusionary goal will only prolong the war and cause more suffering. A durable peace for
illusionary goal. Okay. It's illusionary. If somebody stronger attacks you and starts taking your land, you just got to let them because they're stronger. That's the whole thing of Trump and him. They don't think past that. Okay, if that's how the world is, then everybody who feels they have enough power, go take somebody. That's what the world wars were about. The level of their historical ignorance is just jaw-dropping. It's literally, they're 5-year-olds. Now, he knows better. I think he truly knows better. But, he doesn't care. He's in power. He has his security guards of 50 people flying around an Air Force Two or whatever. That's what he wants. That's what he wants to believe. And he's just saying this stuff. It's just, okay, I got to get back to the video.
Ukraine must include robust security guarantees to ensure that the war will not begin again. This must not be Minsk 3.0.
He talks about Minsk 3.0. Forget about Minsk. It's the Budapest memorandum. Or just look at NATO. Just look at reality. Okay? Russia is sending men to die to take over territory. You want them out, you have to send men back that are going to die to take it. Now, you don't have to do it. If Ukraine doesn't want to do it and they want to be part of Russia, they can. That's up to them, right? I personally, I just run to Canada or somewhere, okay? But whatever. They are dying to do that. It's just, this is what I'm talking about. Like, to politically, you at least have to have a fiction that that you're respectful of what other people are doing. And this is the problem here. Is he's saying, my opinion is you've lost Ukraine, so just give up some territory, and give their demands. That's what he's basically saying. He's saying you've lost, you give up their, give in to their demands. And it's just, you can believe that all you want, but it's so amazingly tone deaf that they don't believe it because they're dying for it. They're dying for it. And you're giving your opinion that it's not worth it. How do you feel? How would you feel? How out of touch can this guy possibly be?
The United States does not believe that NATO membership for Ukraine is a realistic outcome of a negotiated settlement.
I could talk for hours on this. Anybody interested in geopolitics could talk for hours on this. Now, whether Ukraine should be part of NATO or not NATO, I guess that's a question. But the truth is, it's like for him to say, it's not to be part of NATO. Like, NATO was created by the United States, and there's a saying, right? It's to keep Russia out and Germany down. So there's a lot of history to NATO, and once again, he has no idea about any of it, or he's cynical, or I don't know what, but it's okay.
Instead, any security guarantee must be backed by capable European and non-European troops.
This is when he picks to get all political, not say the truth. European and non-European troops. What are these non-European troops? Right? It's U.S. troops. Is there anything else but Europeans? Right? Is China going to come do it? Is Japan going to come do it? No. Asia. Nobody in Asia is going to come do it. So it's either European troops or it's Americans. That's how craven he is. That's how, like I said, it's okay if you want to talk about political reality. If you want to talk about the reality on the ground. Hey, I'm Pete. I'm going to say it like it is. My boss Trump, we say it like it is. And you cannot say the U.S. military when you mean the U.S. military, and instead call the U.S. military the non-European military. My head cannot even contain it. You are such a coward. Not only a coward to not go there and fight with Ukraine to keep Russia out, but you can't even say the words American military. You were so afraid to say those words, to take ownership of anything, the non-European military. Well, this video is 16 minutes, and I'll just go on for hours. I'm just going to quit right here because, I got to go find out what that non-European military is that would safeguard Ukraine from Russia. Hey, Russia, don't step over that line or the non-European military is going to get you. Ooh, the non-European military. Yeah, they're going to kick your butt.